My full review of Saw X with spoilers this time. The decision to make John Kramer the protagonist and the central focus of this story was amazing. A+. I say this all the time. The reason why people keep coming back to Saw is because of the characters. Yes, they love the traps, they love the horror, they love the gore, but they want John. They want the apprentices. And the use of seeing John in one of his own traps is really, really cool to see. Cecilia may be the most evil woman to ever walk the earth, but it was really fun watching her interacting with John throughout the movie. And it's interesting how the movie is able to pull you in so you hate Cecilia so much, but you feel some sympathy for some of the other trap victims. Like a lot of people feel sympathy for Gabriella because of how her storyline kind of ties in with Amanda's, right? Also, of course, with Hoffman coming back, that made me so happy. I do sort of question a little bit how Hoffman's whole thing is he is anonymous. That's John's gift to him. Yet he's there with Henry at the end, full face, no pig mask, anything. I love him.
I thought I had heard about the worst human experiments, but I was wrong. So back in the 1950s, there was a woman named Gail who went to the doctor complaining about anxiety. And the doctor told her they had this new treatment for anxiety if she wanted to try it. Also, I did a whole episode on this story if you want to hear the entire thing. So first he brings Gail into this room where he tells her he's going to give her a few electroshocks, which was normal at the time. But then, without preparing her, he gives her 15 times the maximum dosage of electroshocks. And after he does this, Gail starts writhing around on the floor and sucking her thumb, acting like a baby. Her brain was so scrambled from the shocks, she thought she was a child again. But this is exactly what the doctor wanted. So after all this happens, he gets Gail out of there and he puts her straight into a drug-induced coma. And when she's in the coma, he starts playing tapes on a loop for her, and some of them say things like, "I'm a good member of society." So the experiment the doctor was running was he wanted to see if he could take Gail's personality out of her through electroshocks and drugs, and then put another one inside of her. Gail was kept in this study for months, and she was released with the other subjects once the doctor figured out that what he was doing wasn't working. Anyways, the story is wild, and you should check out the full episode if you want to hear the whole thing.
Did you know The Purge was real?
The Purge?
Like, you know The Purge, the movie, like, everybody's doing crime and you can do whatever you want? That was real.
Like in Paris, like a few months ago?
No, it was a real thing that they used to do long time ago.
What?
Christmas time.
Okay.
Literally, the 18th to like the 25th, it was the celebration of Saturn. And during that time, every single person could do whatever they wanted. And they encouraged people to steal, to do crime, enjoy yourself however you please.
Why?
Like,
Why?
let yourself go.
Why?
The psychology behind it is crazy. They wanted them to go out full purge, right?
Yeah.
And cause like really shitty things to happen so that they can remind the people that it's better to be under their rule. Because if you think about it, just showing people that look at all the chaos that can happen if we just let you guys do shit.
Oh, okay.
So it makes them believe in like, okay, he's a good ruler because he keeps shit in line.
Scalping, the act of cutting or tearing a part of the human scalp, often with hair attached from the head, is a gruesome practice that has occurred in various cultures throughout history. Scalping was primarily associated with warfare, where warriors would take scalps as trophies. The act of scalping likely developed as an alternative to taking human heads, as scalps were easier to transport and preserve. Archaeological evidence for this gruesome tradition in North America dates back to at least the early 14th century. A striking example is the discovery of a mass grave near present-day Crow Creek, South Dakota, which contained nearly 500 victims, some of whom showed evidence of scalping. It was often seen as a way to assert dominance over one's enemies and as a symbol of bravery in battle. Scalps were sometimes used in rituals and ceremonies, serving as both trophies and symbols of power.
Breaking news, they have now released body cam footage of Caitlin Armstrong escaping custody. Take a look. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
I was killed by my own invention. I'm Stockton Rush. In 2006, I started building a submarine so I could explore the Titanic. From 2006 to 2023, I designed a vessel capable of doing so. I then created a company called OceanGate and found 4 people who were willing to pay to accompany me in exploring the mysterious shipwreck. In June 2023, we all embarked on a mission that would sadly go completely wrong. On that day, feeling confident, I boarded the submarine I had designed and built, along with the 4 other passengers. I brought along my Xbox controller, which was intended to control the submarine. After descending about 8,000 feet, I began losing control due to the controller running out of battery. So I made the decision to use the emergency button, which was meant to bring us back to the surface. But instead, the pressure caused us to sink even deeper. What happened next will forever remain a mystery. Send to a friend for part 2, including secret footage of the event.
Did you play their song? You listened to it?
Yeah.
Did you hear that bar?
What bar?
What? How
What
did
bar?
you not hear this bar?
What was it?
What? This is the bar that like everyone's talking about.
What'd she say?
So apparently in one of her ad-libs, you can hear her say, "We got something," and then in the ad-lib it's like, "Illuminati."
No.
Yeah, listen. It is so clear. I don't know. You ready?
Oh shit! What the fuck? Nah.
And mans are saying it's illuminate. No, fam. It was. You want to hear it again?
Play it one more time.
Yeah.
No.
Illuminati. Like,
No,
come on,
that's
bro.
crazy.
Like, come on, bro. Be for real.
If the Illuminati really did make that shit,
Yeah.
they're making some trash music now. Nah, like they downgraded. They
Yeah,
went from
yeah.
Jay-Z to Delote.
Morbid Facts, Part 379. In 2019, Cambridge University student Alana Cutlin tragically jumped from her airplane while returning home from Madagascar. She reportedly appeared normal while boarding the plane, but just 10 minutes after takeoff, she suddenly unbuckled herself before opening the door of the aircraft and jumping out without hesitation, falling nearly a mile to her death. Her family later stated that she'd experienced panic attacks in the past, and that she might have been suffering from a bad reaction to prescription medication. In 2012, 88-year-old Ilda Maciel died in the hospital after her nurses made a critical error while attempting to feed her. They accidentally injected chicken soup into her veins rather than into her feeding tube. In 2012, 23-year-old gaming addict Chen Rongyu died of a heart attack while playing League of Legends for 23 hours straight in a Taiwanese cafe. It took staff hours to realize he was dead since he fell back in his chair and his arms were still stretched out toward his mouse and keyboard.
We go into the skiff, which is James Bond kind of stuff. Yeah, I don't have a Fitbit, but if you had a Fitbit, you had to take it off. You got a watch or anything electronic or a phone, similar to the things they found the cocaine in at the White House, those kind of compartmentalized things. So we go in. It's a big room, a lot of brass, a lot of suits, probably CIA or NSA or somebody. And they gave us a great briefing on some really scary stuff that's going on in and around where they are.
Can you elaborate on any of that?
Not really. That's what I'm saying. This is a trap. We got to get in the skiff to get this information. In some instances, unless it's been put out, mostly the stuff at Eglin was put out by other people. If they tell you that stuff, it's secret. I mean, you're not allowed to talk about it. Now, that's what they want to do with David Grush. Let's get him in the skiff. Let's get this information. Well, it's kind of questionable if they do that, if we can even talk about it.
The wooden horse consisted of a wooden framework designed to resemble a sawhorse or horse-shaped structure. In its most common form, it featured a triangular top with one end pointed upward, providing a sharp edge that added to the torment. The victim was made to straddle the triangular top with their legs on either side, causing immense pressure on the groin area. Victims were often stripped of their clothing, leaving them exposed and vulnerable. Additional weights or restraints were sometimes applied to the victim to prevent them from easily sliding off the triangular top. In some cases, heavy objects, such as weights or large bones, were placed in the victim's hands while they straddled the wooden horse, forcing them downward. The wooden horse inflicted severe injuries, including bruising, lacerations, and even permanent damage to the groin and genital area. Some victims were left unable to walk without assistance. They endured both physical agony and the humiliation of public punishment.
I sold my soul for money and fame. I'm Logan Paul. In 2013, I started on social media, but initially, things were not going too well. However, after being consistent for a few months, my videos started to gain attention. In February 2014, I was invited to a party where I was presented with the offer to exchange my soul for money and fame. I quickly accepted and signed the contract without even reading it. Everything, almost everything, went well from 2014 to 2022 until the people I had sold my soul to informed me that I had to go through a humiliating ritual, which was to marry Nina Agda, a Danish model known for her involvement with numerous men, 751 to be exact. I didn't have a choice. Those pictures resurfacing and being shared across social media are all part of my humiliation. I don't want to bear the shame on the internet, but one thing is certain. When my fight with Dylan Danis comes around, I will do my best to turn the tables on him. Subscribe and share this with a friend for part 2.
Did you hear about that volcano in Italy right now?
No.
Have you heard of Campe Freghe?
All the time.
It's sitting over this giant basin of magma. Supposedly the second most powerful supervolcano on Earth. This past week, there have been 2 major earthquakes from that mountain.
That's bad news.
But like, if this thing goes off, we're talking like half of Italy. Mount Vesuvius, which is also in Italy, they speculate that the magma, it's connected. If Campe Flegre went off, Mount Vesuvius would go off at the same time too. It would be so intense, it would send the entire Earth into a 2 to 3 year winter.
Fart.
Like, the National Institute of Geophysics confirmed that the eruption is a present and near scenario. They said the global temperature would drop 2 degrees Celsius.
What if Mother Nature is curing herself?
Have you ever thought about humans are the virus?
If Italy gets wiped out, I'm gonna be so miffed that we've never been.
Or you'd be upset that a lot of Italian people died.
That too, obviously.
So the videos and images coming out over the last couple of days are shocking to those who live in first world countries. The carnage, destruction, and senseless death of children, women, men. It's something out of a fairy tale nightmare that we only see in movies. But the reality is that we are the ones living in the fairy tale. Violence and war are the true norm of this world, and always have been. The conflict between Israel and the Palestinian people is not just a war that's occurred within the last century. Palestinians historically are the indigenous people of the Holy Land, but Israeli people have also occupied these lands since they emerged from ancient Lebanon and Egypt long before 1000 BC, over 3,000 years ago. And these holy wars have raged on long before and since. The harsh reality of our world is nations will always conquer other nations for their land. There has never been a truly good side or good rulers. Only good, normal people trying to make their way in a world gone half mad. Regardless of how you feel about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, it's the normal people that are caught up in these conflicts that are the true victims. If you'd like to learn more about the ancient history of our world, well, please like and follow for more.
They have that iron dome that protects them against missiles. Did you ever see that working? They were just showing it the other night. Show videos of the Iron Dome working. It's crazy. So as Hamas is launching these missiles, they're shooting missiles at the missiles and blowing them up in the sky. It's wild. Look at this. You have to be 100% accurate because any one of these is going to kill a bunch of people. But I mean, just imagine living in Israel and you go outside and you're seeing missiles getting hit by bombs. Look at this. Look at this. They're just jacking them in the sky. But if they miss one, that's a wrap. I mean, how much do each one of these missiles that they're shooting at these other missiles cost?
Right. That's what I was thinking. $1 million.
And how are they getting all the money to shoot those missiles at Israel? Like, all of it is crazy.
Yeah.
This happened right after the Biden administration released a bunch of funds to Iran. I think it was like $6 billion.
Really?
And then these people in Hamas are thanking Iran for funding this.
Wow.
The victim's feet were firmly secured onto a small platform or device, ensuring limited movement. Wooden or metallic wedges were gradually inserted underneath the victim's toenails, starting with the smallest toe. Torturers used precision and cruelty to avoid puncturing the nail bed initially. Torturers continued to insert the wedges deeper, increasing the agony. The expectation was that the victim would eventually confess to stop the torture. Failure to confess could lead to further, even more severe, forms of torture. Toe wedging was not only incredibly painful, but also highly dangerous. Since the same wedges were often used on multiple victims without proper sterilization, infections were common. Victims who endured prolonged toe wedging risked severe complications, including gangrene, which could result in the amputation of affected toes or even death due to the spread of infection. A similar variant of this torture method was finger wedging, where wedges were applied to the fingernails instead of toenails.
Here are some images that simply cannot be explained. So which of these two faces looks more angry? Now I'm guessing that you probably said that this face on the left looks a lot more angry. But if you move your phone far away, you'll notice that the faces switch, and the one on the right actually becomes more angry. I still don't know how this works. Now both of these blocks are actually the exact same color. Now when you first look at these two blocks, it looks like the one on top is much darker than the one on the bottom. But if you use your finger to cover the line in the middle, you'll see that both blocks are the same color. Now what you see in this image will actually depend on your age. When you first look at the image, you can either see a young woman staring into the distance, or you can see the eye of an old woman. And most likely if you're younger, you'll see the young woman first. But if you're older, you'll see the old woman's eye first.
I was killed for revealing the existence of aliens. I'm David Grush. I'm a former U.S. Air Force officer. And in early 2023, I decided to expose the government and reveal to the world the existence of aliens. For months, I worked day and night trying to organize a hearing at Congress about the subject. And in April, I finally received an answer claiming it will take place in July. During the meeting, I explained how me and many of my colleagues in the Navy and Air Force had seen extraterrestrial beings before. I also revealed that the government was conducting experiments on aliens currently on Earth. All those revelations were absolutely viral all over the internet and the news. From that day, the population started questioning what the government had told them before. But 2 days ago, while I was walking in New York City to get into my apartment, I was approached by 3 CIA agents. They captured me. Multiple witnesses saw the scene and one even recorded it. From that day, I disappeared without a trace. Subscribe and send to a friend to see the footage.
So my cousins, they came over from the Philippines. They were just staying for like a week, right? One of the guys, when I first came here, they're like, yo, bro, I watched your podcast. Like, you and Carlos are cool as f, right? And then he's like, yo, the Mexican guy's cool as f. But I'm not Mexican. I'm Filipino. I'm like, nah, he's Filipino. So the guy goes, oh yeah, like, I have a third eye.
Oh, shit.
So I'm like, okay, that's cool because my mom has a third eye.
Yeah.
And doesn't really see shit, right? There's not a lot of rooms in my house, and there's a bunch of people staying, all my cousins staying at my house in Pickett, right? One of them is staying in the basement. So the guy, we put him in the basement. He said, when I first got there, oh, may basita ka? And in Filipino, that means, oh, there's another guest in my basement?
No.
So he goes to my mom. He says, Tita, is there another guest? And my mom's obviously like, no, what? You guys are the only ones sleeping down there.
Yeah.
And obviously, when he realized that it wasn't a guest, he went back down there, and whatever entity he saw,
Protests of the Israeli-Hamas war are going on in the United States, mostly on college campuses. And let me tell you something, it's a waste of time. Yeah, the protests mean nothing. Do the protesters really believe Israel cares whether they agree with them or disagree with them? Or Hamas cares whether you agree with them or disagree with them? This is a real-life war going on. They don't care what college people or anyone in the United States thinks. They don't get to go to Starbucks after this is over like the protesters do. This is serious. Israel said over 1 million people who live in the Gaza Strip have to get out in 24 hours. First of all, that's got to be close to impossible. But even if they did it, where are they supposed to go? It's not like they can go back to their college campus or Starbucks and watch the war on the news and make tweets about it. Look, protesting, fine. You're against the war, so am I. But I'm telling you, it's not going to do anything. Because nobody involved cares what you think, or what I think, or what anybody else thinks. U.S. Secretary of State Blinken said the country will stand with Israel no matter what they do. And a lot of Middle Eastern countries will stand with Hamas no matter what they do. So this is going to go on. And it doesn't matter what any of us who aren't in it think or do. Sorry to be an old begrudgeon, but I'm just telling you the truth as I see it. Shabadoo Bushkis! Shabadoo!
You watched Barbie, right?
Yeah.
Did you get the references of Wizards of Oz?
Nah.
Really? There's theories on Barbie that it was similar and they might make a movie combining
You
the
mean
two.
like the road?
Yeah, so also one of Barbie's dress, it looked kind of like the Dorothy's dress. Look.
Oh,
You know, with
yeah,
the picnic, the yellow brick road, the one that Barbie was driving down, and there's a hidden one where in the movie theater behind Barbie, they were playing Wizards of Oz. So that's like a hint.
It's like an Easter egg.
Yeah, it's an Easter egg.
It's like an Easter egg callback.
The whole theory is like, are they gonna make a mashup, or is it gonna collide somehow?
Oh, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Loki, it's the opposite. So in the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy's trying to go into this fantasy land, but Barbie is escaping it.
Yeah, okay.
She's already part of it. She's escaping it.
Oh yeah, so that might just be the theory then.
Low key.